Any other questions or while we're here together?
What are the ingredients?
It's a pretty long list, and we have a list of it here, but it's all things that you have already seen. You know, I'll give you a kind of a interesting rationale behind why we don't publicize a lot of that stuff. And we've recently we've had some, I would call it somewhat negative chatter on the internet because we don't talk about the ingredients. And there's a simple reason. If I showed you the ingredients, you would say, well, geez, magnesium, I've taken that, this won't work. CoQ10, oh, yeah, I got that. These are all things that you've already tried, right? These are all things that you've already tried. And here's what you have to understand. It's not what's in it, it's how it's comprised. Most of you are ladies, you bake cakes. I know there are eggs and flour in cakes. I know there's probably some sugar. I'm better at eating the cakes than I am at baking the cakes. But I also know that if the ingredients going into the cake aren't at certain levels, all cohesively coming together to make a good cake, the cake isn't going to taste very good. It's not going to work. It's the same with this. So we've had people literally take the ingredients list, go out to GNC and buy all those things and start taking them, and then come to us and say, well, I'm taking all those things, how come I'm not getting better? Because it's not, number one, it's the way it's extracted.
Right.
It's very specialized. There's not synthetics in there. And it's put together in a particular formula so your body can utilize it very, very quickly. Your body already has all the things that you're taking now, it can't see it. So that's part of what's going on. Anything going on?
I think my eyesight got kind of clear. It seems.
Okay.
I was kind of in the middle of a flare too. So.
Okay.
And
So what you just said is very interesting, and I haven't heard that a lot, but I do hear it. My eyesight suddenly got a lot clearer. Now, can I ask you a question? Is it okay if I ask you a question in front of some folks? When you're out in the sunlight, does the sunlight bother you at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find that you're like frantic if you don't have a pair of sunglasses? You're looking around. Where's my sunglasses?
Well, my glasses have transitions.
Okay.
But I am very sensitive to the bright.
Okay.
So
So let's just jump back about 30 minutes ago. Why might that be? When that fight or flight response kicks in, what is one of the things that I've mentioned happens? Pupils dilate to let more light in, so you can see more acutely. If you go out in the sunshine, especially if you've ever had an eye exam, when they make your pupils that big, you have to wear shades all day. You're letting more light in than you had wanted. That causes a lot of fatigue for you visually. So sometimes people do notice a very, very quick, once that switch turns off, the switch is an on and off switch. Once that switch starts to turn off, the eye, the pupil gets recalibrated and the vision gets
it
better.
seems like when I have a flare up, my eyes get like it's blurry anyway for some reason.
Mhm. That would be very, very consistent with what we hear. So,
Cool.
anything else going on?
I feel like tanking.
And we start with 6 milliliters. We can do that up to 3 times to see what the change might be. Where are we from a time interval
About
time?
6 minutes.
We're at about 6 minutes. We'll give you another minute, and then we'll test again.
Now I just start to get some sensation.
Little-
tingling.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Just on my lips too.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You know, I'm excited about it because I know when I do this, if you feel something, it's going to work. I feel nothing. I could drink that whole bottle and I won't start to tingle. It's really a good thing. It's a good sign.
Because you don't have fibromyalgia.
Yeah, my switch is turning on and off. I'm not depleted of all of the nutrients. My body's not in a crisis searching for things that it can't find. You know, I haven't been for months and sometimes years in a very tense state. Now I will confide something in you in the video. 3 years ago, I got up on my roof, and because there was something leaking, so I climbed up to the roof and I got up on the middle of the roof, and when I looked down, 3 stories on one side, 2 on the other side, I got to tell you, I was scared. I was petrified. Now this is from a guy who had 20 years ago when I was a younger man. Climbed right up that roof, never thought anything of it. I had a bad accident 12 years ago and realized I'm not invincible, so that ground on both sides of the house didn't look real appealing to me. I finally made my way down after thinking, yeah, I could call the fire department. I do have my cell phone. I said, well, this is the town I grew up in. And I really couldn't afford. Clark called the fire department, couldn't get off his roof. I couldn't. I don't think I could live with that. So I got down, and I will tell you, for 3 days, my legs hurt so bad. I have never had so much pain, and I didn't understand why. The reason is that tension. I had, my legs were so tense. I was so scared. I was in that fight or flight mode, which sends what? Remember, chemicals to your muscles and to your. Well, it takes time for your body to get rid of all of those things, the lactic acids and what have you. And that's caused some pain for me. But anyway, so let's see how you're doing. Lisa, are you ready for test number 2?
Yes.
So this is our test number 2 with Lori. We're just going to press those same spots again. Ready on 1.
4.
Okay. A little more pressure on the second one, Doc, yeah? Okay, good.
3.
About an additional pound of pressure you should be placing.
3. Just take away that. 2.
Yep, got it.
We'll do the same.
2. 1. 1.
Those are ones?
Yeah, it's amazing because I had 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, that didn't happen.
Number?
0,
0?
1,
Switch forward for me.
0, 1, 2, 0.
All right, listen, that
But how, yeah, well, how long does it last?
let's hope for you forever. 1, 2,
84,
3.
And second.
29.
This was a 66% reduction in pain in the first titration.
Here. Second titration. Now listen, go ahead, drink that up. Normally, we wouldn't need to, napkin? We wouldn't need to titrate again. It's very conclusive that the solution works for her and will work for her. And, thank you, sir.
Triggered a point on the shoulder. Go get injections.
Yeah.
To help that.
Yeah.
Anymore.
So Lori, nice and loud, so the folks at home can hear you. Tell me what you're feeling right now.
Fantastic. It's like, wow, it's amazing.
So when you came today, did you have any idea that this would be what would happen?
No, not like this. Wow.
Yeah. What you?
It works better than pain pills, and then like Lucenta, 100 milligram.
Mhm.
It doesn't get rid of it.
Why don't you stand and see how you feel standing? If you want to walk to the back and then come back, watch the cord. See how you're feeling.
Better. Actually, because I have a pinched nerve, and I even it's helping that, like pain that I have, like my left leg.
It's helping the pinched nerve too.
Well, the pain's right now. Usually I have pain down my left leg, and I can't walk upstairs. I've been on workers' comp since.
How's your mobility as far as different? And normally we would ask these questions in the office and have you kind of demonstrate for us. Different from normal?
Yeah, usually it's killing me when I try it.
Usually it's killing you.
Yeah. Wow. I wish I could walk upstairs.
Are you,
No, see, my left leg is weak from pinched nerves, so I
Okay.
can only walk up like a little lady kind of.
right.
But that's why I'm getting the stimulator, because then I can get the strength back.
Okay.
I don't know how it works, it's like February 3rd.
Wow.
On workers' comp.
Yeah, understand.
Wow.
So this, this is an example of someone who's having a great response. I'll tell you, I didn't get into the backstory of this, but I'm going to do it. What time is it right now? I don't have a watch on or. 7:30. Okay, so I'm just going to give you this little quick story. A number of years ago, one of my very close friends, Dr. Johnson, in Charlotte, North Carolina, called me, and he called me. He called me because for many years I owned a management consulting company, and he had a business friend of his, was the president and CEO of another company, who was having some troubles, and Dr. Johnson called and said, hey, do you think that you could help this guy's company take it on as a project? And we talked a little bit about it. I says, brother, I got 4 kids, they're growing, and I've done my travel, things are pretty good. And, thanks, but no thanks. I just, the amount of travel and time that's going to take away from my kids as they're growing at that age, teenage years, and then I have 2 girls that are coming up through teenage years here, not too far away. I says, thanks, but no thanks. And I said, what about you? What's going on? How are things down there with you? He says, great. He says, business is just off the hook. Great. We've opened another clinic this year. I've got the staff is growing. We've got really good staff in place. Things couldn't be better. He says, there's only one thing that's keeping me up at night. And I said, oh yeah, what's that? He says, the fibro thing. I says, the what? He says, the fibro thing. I told you about the fibro thing, didn't I? I says, well, I don't know, you probably did, but I don't listen to half what you tell me anyway, so what is this? He says, well, the thing for fibromyalgia. I said, fibromy what? He says, fibromyalgia, you've heard it right. I says, yeah, I think so. I said, well, what about it? He says, my friend Dr. Commoner invented this stuff. We're trying to get it out to people, and it's going to through the patent office here for the last couple of years, and there's attorney's fees and all kinds of things going on. And this year it's going to get patented within the next year. The patent is going to come through, and I had committed to Commoner to bring this out and get it before people, so we could help the people who really need it. He says, my biggest problem is that now with business the way it is, we've opened up multiple clinics. I don't have time to do it, and I've got to figure out a way to get this to people who need it. I said, well, so back up, tell me more. So we had about an hour and 45-minute conversation, and after that period of time, I said, well, listen, not for nothing, but it sounds like you should have been calling me about this, not your buddy's company. He says, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of it. He says, but obviously you wouldn't. Obviously you wouldn't have time or want to do that with your clients that you have now and what have you. I says, well, wait a minute. I says, you just told me that this has the ability to change the lives of millions of people. Is that what you're really telling me? He says, and his words were, oh, absolutely. I says, that I have time for. That was a Friday. I flew down to Charlotte on Monday. Flew home the very next week, and really began the start of what you're seeing here today. So that's the long and the short of it, of how we came to be together today. Anything else? Anything else going on?
Feels good. Don't have.
Now, do you mind if I ask you in front of the group and in the camera? Do you typically sleep well at night or not so much?
No.
Okay.
So much unless I take
So
relaxers and.
yeah. So we have an individual here in the room, Marion, who is a patient, lives right here in Syracuse, who's gone through just what you've gone through. And that was about, I want to say 4 weeks, probably longer than that now.
6 weeks.
About 6 weeks now, about 6 weeks ago now. And she was good enough to say, listen, if you're going to do one of these seminars, I would love to help these people understand what this meant to me. And I would be happy to come on Thursday night and speak to the folks.